Okay, I will go ahead and call the meeting of the October 24th, 2024 TRPA Hearings Officer to order at 2 p.m. My name is Marcia Birch, and I'll be serving as the hearings officer today. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Have there been any changes?
No changes.
And seeing no changes, I will approve the agenda as it was posted. Next item is public interest comments for no action. Any member of the public who wishes to address the hearings officer on any item that is not listed as a public hearing item on the agenda may do so at this time. Public comments on any public hearing item will be taken at the time those agenda items are heard. The hearings officer is prohibited by law from taking immediate action on or discussing issues raised by the public that are not listed on the agenda. And seeing no members of the public in the room, we can check online.
All right, if any member of the public would like to make a comment and address the hearings officer, please raise your hand now by clicking on the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen or by pressing *9 if you've joined by telephone. There are no hands raised.
Okay. So I will go on to the announcement of appeal rights. Any decision of the hearings officer is appealable to the TRPA governing board. The notice of appeal, which can be found on TRPA's website, and associated fees must be filed within 21 days of the hearings officer's decision. All right, and that brings us to our public hearing items. And we will start with item 5A. Oh, the Gudevsky Land Capability Challenge, 8468 Meeks Bay Avenue, El Dorado County, California. Assessor's parcel number 016-6-091-057. TRPA file number LCAP 2024-0217. And this is Julie Roll's item.
Yes, hi, Julie Roll with TRPA. As Marcia said, this is a land capability challenge, and the land capability for this property was originally verified as class 1A. But based on our field review, TRPA staff recommends changing the land capability to classes 2 and 4. Phil Scholes reviewed the project on behalf of TRPA, and he is available online to give more detail about what he found on the site.
All right.
Oh, this challenge was not particularly exciting. We had to dig one pit up behind the house and the property has slopes that are greater than 30 in the far western upper part of the property and between 16 and 30% sort of for the majority of the property in the center and the east part that abuts Meeks Bay Road. And what's mapped as the class 1 soil is a soil that's very rocky and also has a brittle layer deeper down in the soil that tends to perch water. And it's both slope and the rockiness and this sort of restricting layer that has given it a class 1A rating. So we dug a pit down to a little more than 60 inches, did not find that restricting layer. It did have rockiness to it, but not to the same degree that's sort of mapped. And what we ultimately deduced was this was a soil that the lower part of the soil was similar to the class 1A soil, but it had a mantle of soil material that had eroded from above, what we call colluvial. And so when we evaluate the upper 5 feet of the property, it was sort of this hybrid of two different soils. And all things considered, it doesn't have any root restricting layers to it, didn't have severe rockiness. So it didn't match one of the soil series in the 1974 soil survey. So we concluded that it was an unnamed soil, which is pretty common in this kind of situation. This landscape setting is sort of, between a hillside and sort of like more of a terrace setting. And when there's sort of an interface, you sort of get these hybrid kinds of situations. So ultimately, we based the determination on the slope and the fact that it didn't have any restricting layers to it.
Thank you, Phil. All right, so that was helpful. And are there any public comments? Julie?
I have not received any ahead of the meeting.
Okay. So I don't have any additional questions, so I'll go ahead and open this up for public comment.
Any member of the public would like to comment on this item, please raise your hand now by pressing on the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen or by dialing *9 if you've joined by telephone. There are no hands raised to comment.
Okay, well then I will close the public comments and take action. I will approve the land capability challenge based on the staff report and as proposed in the staff report. All right, so we'll go on to item 5B, linear public service, Highway 28 fiber optic infrastructure project, Caltrans right-of-way along Highway 28, Placer County, California, TRPA file number ERSP 2024-0726. And this is also duly rolled.
Yep. This is Julie Roll again. As Marcia said, this is a proposed fiber optic communication infrastructure project. It's approximately 9,000 linear feet in the Kings Beach area in the paved right of way of Highway 28. The project will be constructed using micro trenching technology, which is like small little slots rather than like the larger traditional trenches. So there's a lot of benefits of that. Let me see. It just speeds up the project, causes fewer disruptions to traffic, less impact on the environment from like sediment runoff, dust, that kind of thing. I think that's kind of the gist of the project. I don't know if you have any other specific questions. I mean, I guess I can say that transmission and receiving facilities are special use, which is why we're here. But staff believes this is an appropriate use for this area because it is bringing a community service, which is the, high-speed broadband internet. And there's no structures above ground, so there's no scenic impact.
Okay. And have you received any comments from anyone?
I have not received any public comments.
Okay. Okay, so I understand all that you just described. I also looked, I find this micro trenching super interesting.
Yeah.
And I also just wanted to give the applicant an opportunity to say anything if you'd like.
Hi, Nick Exine for the record on behalf of the applicant. To Ms. Roll's comments, it's actually a relatively straightforward process. I think, I also think the trenching is actually very cool as well. But to add some context to it, I think what's really great about this project is from the state level to a localized level, from a community economic development level, bringing broadband to the Tahoe Basin has been a goal for a really long time. With any hope, we'll be back before this board as this continues to move and grow within the Tahoe Basin. So really excited to be here. And so happy to answer any questions, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. That's actually what I kind of wanted to hear was, bringing broadband into the basin, and this is part of that.
Yeah, as you looked at the project, there'll be, obviously goes to the Nevada border, and then kind of as things change the state, then we'll go all the way from there to follow the highway over 28, but we'll do all of Incline Village next.
Nice. Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and open this up for public comment.
Okay. If any member of the public would like to comment on this item, please raise your hand now by pressing on the raised hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen or by dialing *9 if you've joined by telephone. There are no hands raised to comment on this item.
All right, thank you. I will go ahead and close the public comment. And I don't have any additional questions. It's a good staff report. And so I will go ahead and take action. I will approve the findings contained in the staff summary, including a finding of no significant environmental effect. And I'll approve the project based on the staff summary, the record evidence, and subject to the conditions contained in the draft TRPA permit. All right, so that brings us to adjournment at 2:10.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, well, that answers that. Now it'll